Hey guys, Nick from Surf Fishing in SoCal here. Today there's a little bit of kelp in the water, some grass in the water, and I've had a couple people actually reach out about the beach that I'm fishing today. It's in San Diego, I won't say anything else, but saying it's a little kelpy. I've got nothing but kelp here. Fished 4 hours, just kelp after kelp. There's a few things you can do to kind of increase your odds of catching fish over kelp, and I'll get into all of it today. But bottom line, it's avoid all the visible kelp. Time your casts and cast short really are the three main ones, but I'll kind of walk through more in detail and we'll get into it. All right, so as usual, Carolina rig, about 2.5 liter line. This is a number 2 mosquito hook. Just using sand crabs. One hook like that is perfect. If it's any smaller than that, I'll do 2. I'm using a 1 ounce egg weight, 15 pound fluorocarbon for the leader, a 15 pound mono for the main line. This is what it looks like at the weight. Slide it down, hook. 8.6 Akuma SST. Specs will be, all this gear and tackle will be listed in the description of the video, but 8.6, it's rated for 8 to 17 pounds, 1/4 to 5/8. I'm overloading the rod on purpose. I prefer it that way. That's just how it is. 4000 series reel. You can go a little lighter if you want, but bottom line, this is what I do. So, and it's not like a terrible day for seaweed, but it is enough. Like I'm fishing a beach that I've had 2 people reach out to me about in the sense that they've fished it in the last 2 days and they've caught nothing but grass. And you'll get bit either way. It's just a matter of being confident enough and feeling as little tension as you need. Like there's a bite right there. As little tension as you need to get bit. So even if you start getting grass piling up on your line, like no big deal. Just as long as your rod's not bending over from the seaweed, you're good. And that hit looks like it's probably not coming back to get it, but I'm gonna let it sit for a little while. You can see grass accumulating on my line already. That amount of grass, I'm not even gonna let bother me. Okay, I got a couple more nibbles. That's the grass starting to weigh on my line a little bit. And I still feel a couple taps here and there. You can see more grass hovering right over my line, so it's getting sloppy, but I'm just keeping it out there. I know I'm still getting tapped. Okay. Oh, okay, so we got hit there. I think we got hit there. Bottom line, I set it into seaweed, so whether it was a bite or not, whatever. So there's some more seaweed. It can be frustrating. You see bait's gone, it's not in here. It got bit off most likely. Here's an example of a crab that is too big. Probably not going to catch anything on that. I know some people, I will say, some people who do go sight casting and fish in really shallows, I have heard, and I've had a couple experiences where those big ones get bit pretty well by the bigger corvina and stuff, but in general, you're going to catch more fish on these average size sand crabs to even smaller ones. You can see all the seaweed just cruising by me. I don't know if you guys can pick that up on the camera, but it's fairly seaweedy. I would call this a moderate to moderate heavy day. You can see it all floating here. I'll just wait for that to pass. Hopefully we get some clean patches. It looks like we've got a clean patch here. It's all the current's kind of going this way, so I'm just waiting for it to pass. And it looks like most of it's passed. I'll cast out a little to the right. A big long thing of kelp there, a bunch of kelp here. Oh, a nice spot fin right there. I don't know if the camera picked that one up. Oh, a nice spot fin right there. I don't know if the camera picked that one up. And the other thing, if you're struggling really a lot through the seaweed and you don't see, like it's either evenly stacked or you see it maybe bunching up beyond, you can try some short casts out because there are fish feeding in the shallow water. So sometimes I'll literally just go, that may seem super short to a lot of people, but I'll catch fish on that shorter cast all day long. So you can see whenever bits and pieces of seaweed and grass get on my line, the biggest thing is just keeping your composure. And even when you feel it's subtly starting to pull your rod down like it is kind of right now, as long as it's not completely bending your rod and you've got enough tension on the line to where you can feel a bite, just keep it out there. The longer you keep it out there, the better. And just get used to what seaweed feels like on your line and stick it out. Like that little thing, I'm not gonna let bother me. I know that's a very mild example, but you've seen earlier in the video what kind of grass was getting on my line and kelp and whatnot. These are fairly mild surf conditions and current conditions, so that is to my favor right now. But yeah, drop in the comments too what kind of issues that you run into that I'm not running into today in kelpie days, because I'd love to give you feedback on what I do in those situations. And again, like seaweed can ruin sessions. It's not like you can fish through all seaweed, all kelp. Seaweed and current are the two things I always say can ruin any session, no matter how much you plan for it. So there's a nice one. And that's not a bad fish. Oh, that's a good fish, man. That's not a bad fish. Just gonna use the waves here to my advantage. Try and turn it here and stack it on the wave. Back pedal, that's a nice spot fin. Heck yeah. Beautiful fish. Probably a 17er, maybe 16. Not the thickest fish either. Pretty slender one. But great fish. I will take that all day long. Alright, a couple more sand crabs just like that. You see all the kelp running by. All sorts of grass and kelp just floating through the water. And ideally you just wait for it, like you wait for it to pass. That's the biggest thing. Sometimes it doesn't stop, and those are the days where you either keep putting up with it until you can get bit, or you give up. But bottom line, it's like you've showed up to conditions that look like this, know that there are plenty of ways to work around this kind of kelp and this amount of kelp. Like right here, all this is just floating in the water. As long as you're really tuned in with how to keep tension and you're watching your line, like always watch where your line enters the water. Where your line enters the water is where you're going to mostly be able to avoid kelp, because that's where it's going to hook up the most. Where your bait is, you likely can't see the kelp there and avoid that kelp, so you might get ruined by that, which is whatever. You can't really do much about that. And that's where you end up. The shorter you throw, the more you can control when fishing through kelp. So I've got more kelp accumulating on my line right now. Not a big deal though. Like you see, my rod is not bending over yet, so it's just little pieces of grass. Some come and go, some stay on there. If it really bothers you that much, you can quickly like shake that stuff off. When it's down lower, you're not going to do much about it. Not getting bit on that one though. So as you can see, when you get to this point and you've got this kelp, or you can see me lifting it up here, that you're pretty much screwed. You can try to break through, but at that point you gotta reel in and recast, and that's just something you'll deal with. But it's not like every cast, you know, it happens, and I mean, that's a bit in piece right there. It's not bad. In this right here, just be smart about it. If you see that, don't cast into it. On a day like today, like it's pretty avoidable. And as you know, current's coming this way, so I'm just gonna wait for this thing to pass. It's not like I want to cast straight into that and get schooled. I can also just walk around it if I'm in a rush to cast out, which I might as well. And I know that it's just going to keep going this way, so as long as I'm throwing to the right of it, I'll be good. Yeah, that is not something you want to hook up on. That'll fight better than most leopard sharks. All right, here we go. It's either another not bad fish or it's some seaweed. Is that a tiny little leopard? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That is one of the cutest little leopards I've ever caught. This is like 10 inches tops. Almost got him in the eye. I'm sorry, little dude. Oh, he is so cute. Or she. It's a she, I think. Oh no, it's a little boy. No, I think it is a little boy. Wow. Super cool fish. We'll let her go. Or him, whatever he is. Back into the water. Look at him go. Look at how cool are those things. How cool. Yeah, so if I just sum it up, like obviously I'm fishing Carolina rig for sand crabs. When you're fishing lures, the one thing I'd say is use Texas rig. Make it a really weedless rig. Don't try to throw a jerkbait in this type of conditions. Texas rig, some sort of weedless lure. But for Carolina rig fishing and light tackle with sand crabs, avoid all visible kelp is the biggest thing. And then timing on your cast, just watching and waiting and moving around. Like sometimes there's just seaweed stacked in certain areas of the beach, and you can avoid those areas. If you're getting hung up on a bunch of kelp, try moving around. And then the other thing is short casts. Like I've seen a couple Spotfin Croaker really shallow today, and the thing I always say about short casts is it'll probably take you longer to get bit, but you are far more likely to catch bigger fish on short casts than you are far. The big fish will feed more actively in these shallow waters, and although you'll get bit more and catch more fish out deeper, and you can catch bigger fish out deeper for sure, you're gonna hook up more on big fish in the shallows. And it's so much fun to fight a fish and hook a fish in like a foot of water, an 18, 20 something inch Spotfin Croaker or Corbina in a foot or even 4 inches, 6 inches of water. It's something so cool, a great feeling, especially when you've sight casted it. But either way, if you know you've been seeing them and you just drop it in there, especially knowing that you're timing it around seaweed and being extremely strategic about it, it's definitely a strategy worth trying and worth knowing how to do. So I think that's all I got for you today. Again, I literally had 30 minutes to do this, so I made it happen there. I got one more surf perch, but I guess I wasn't recording. It might not be the worst conditions in terms of seaweed, but all these little tips, I hope they help. And again, if you have questions or different conditions that you've faced or certain scenarios, let me know. I'll try to respond to all of them in the comments. But later.